There's only a handful of people who could live off of it. You could financially make money off of it. Actually, for me too, growing up, like one of my biggest dreams as a teenager was to be like sponsored by Red Bull, because in Bray specifically, Red Bull was the biggest brand, and the sponsored team, I would like to be sponsored by Red Bull. You guys can be one of the best in the world.
Represents Canada, Philip Kim, B-boy Phil Wizard.
He is the first B-boy with a gold medal.
Tonight, he is nothing but a champion. The gold medal to B-boy Phil Wizard of Canada.
We're so happy today to have been here, so we visited over the champion of the hurricane.
We're so happy you have been here to share a more of this journey. So let me quickly just ask you how much you start breaking. Where did you start?
I started in around 2009. I started when I was around 11 years old. In my city, I'm from Vancouver, Canada. There was a local breaking through, and then they were just doing the street performance. And I saw it. It was my first time ever seeing breaking live in person. I think I'd probably seen it on some YouTube videos or something before that, but it was my first time seeing it live in person, and it just blew me away. They're starting up the hands, they're doing all these crazy movements. At the time, I was a kid, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy!" What I've never seen it before. It looked like superheroes, when I first saw. And then honestly, I was also a kid. I was like, "Oh, if I learn this, I could get girls. Like, people would think cool, So I saw it. They actually, after that, I saw it. One of them actually came to my elementary school at the time, and they were teaching us hip hop where I would be. And I went up to him after class, and I said, "Do you teach breaking? If I saw breaking on the street, I'm alert." He's like, "Yeah, I do." He was actually in the same crew as the people that I saw. Gave me a card, started taking classes. He just never saw it.
So do you first started you are really clean and you want breaking? Do you we started how when you see breaking, I just want breaking? Have you tried other kind of things as well?
Yo, I've actually never tried any other style of dance. Yeah, I was always just a break.
Okay, so because I think for people you see you see something cool, and then you might have the boss that I want to be like him or something. But I think from the have the force and him you make a step. That is a huge step. So
yeah, what's the sign between that?
Yeah, so what makes you feel like you really need to approach that guy and then say, I want to start picking a break process?
Again, I was just a kid, and it just all happened naturally. I saw it, and I didn't go up to the people performing right away, but they actually came to our school. So when he came to my school, they were just teaching us a different style of dance, like hip-hop. And I was like, but actually I saw breaking, I really want to learn this. And then when I started taking classes, I just got into it really fast. It clicked with me. I wasn't particularly talented. I wasn't super good when I first started. It was just something I really enjoyed doing. I enjoyed doing it. I was just really good. I play video games. I hung out with my friend, and then I would go practice a little bit. And for the first 2 years, it was just a hobby. It was just something that I did on the side. And then as I got older, the years went by, the more and more I did it, the more I fell numb.
So what is kind of the goal position that kept you doing it? So now are raised for something?
When I first started, I think it was just the challenge, because breaking very hard. You try it. Even the most basic steps are very difficult. So for me, what I was trying to, I was even the things that looked very simple were very hard to do. So for me, it was as a kid, it was a puzzle that it would never stop, because I would learn something, and then they would show me, the teachers would show me a new step, and then a new step, and then I just kept doing it. And it was fun and challenging and rewarding in its heart. And I think it was the hardest thing as a kid that I dropped it at that time. And so it was just enjoyable. The challenge was very enjoyable. And then there's the community aspect too. In the world of dance, I started meeting a lot of people, people around my age. I do the events, and I was like, "Oh, this is a whole different world." There's competitions. There is. I started to know about the more famous dancers, and then I watched the videos on YouTube, and it just blew me away. I just got really something for the world.
So were you a kid that loves sports or
Not necessarily. I enjoy sports. I would do it recreationally with my friends. So during recess, we would play basketball or whatever, but I wasn't super into sports.
Yeah, because for me, before I started drama, I wasn't a really athletic person. So I was that kind of maybe quite keep class, and then, but I feel Concord has treated me a lot, because it exposed me to new group of people, and then I had a lot of experience of that, for performing. After that, it changes my world. That's why that kept me doing dress up. So is there anything that your first obstacle, like you thinking about like dropping, breaking or like that fall?
No, you had to go what? Stick, especially as a breaker and what I do now, like working professionally. I mean, I get it all through high school. During high school, I was like the kid who liked to break. But there's talent show. I'd be the talent show breaky. Sometimes during breaks, like if I had with the lunch break, sometimes I'd practicing in the hallways. In my high school, I was known as like a breaker, and that's what it was, something I identified as. And then when I was in high school, about to go to university, starting to graduate, I really just loved dancing. And at the time, I started to think about, I kind of just want to break. Like, I just want to be a professional breaker. But it was very difficult to make it as a professional breaker. Even now, it's hard. Back then, it was very, very difficult. There's only a handful of people who could live off of it. You could financially make money off of it. Actually, for me too, growing up, like one of my biggest dreams as a dancer was to be like sponsored by Red Bull, because in Bray specifically, Red Bull was the biggest brand, and the sponsored team, I would watch the YouTube videos. They traveled all over the world. They were teaching workshops. They were competing at the highest level. And for me, that was like, whoa, this is like a whole other world that I want to be a part of. But the chances were so slim. Like, to be sponsored by Red Bull, you had to be one of the best in the world. We had to be that Red Bull BC1, and that was like so far off. So I struggled a lot, like after around the last few years of high school, trying to figure out should I go to school, but I was just going to dance. And then I really wanted to just pursue this, but I talked to my parents and they really wanted me to go to school. And so I went to university for 1 year, or for one semester. And that was probably like the hardest climbing out of the peninsula, just because I really wasn't a kid. I was good at school. I just like had no interest in it. And I'm a very passionate person. If I'm not passionate about something or have an interest, I put no effort into it. And so with school, it was just hard for me because there was nothing in school that interested me. So even while I was in university, I'd just be training and practicing. And every day I was, this sucks and I just want to dance. And then there was an event happening. It was actually Red Bull's event in LA. It was a qualifier for the Air Finals. And I just put myself, I'm going to go to this event. I'm going to do my best. If I win the event, I'm dropping out of school and I'm going to pursue it full time. And if I lose the event, then I'm not going to quit dancing, but I will take a step back. I'll focus on school or I finish that first. So I went to the event, I won the event, and then came home, talked to my parents and said, hey, I just need to try. Like, give me a couple years to show you that I can do this. And then I just kept training. But even then, I had so many doubts. Like every day I woke up scared, being like, I don't know if I can do it. Because even though I wanted that event and I committed to myself, it was still like a very, very scary process.
Yeah. So when you dropped it out of school, right? Yeah. So I think like I have a similar experience like you do, because like when I was in Ru, I was also like good at study also. So like in Hong Kong, those kind of kids like who are really good at school, they will be like, you should work at a corporate or a creative factory. And then I was studying at KU and I studied 4 years, but that was like for my last year to for my study. But at that time I started my own skate club, and at that time I was like really too easy to handle all the trainings, and also like I asked coach people it. And then I felt like that I couldn't handle school anymore. And then I talked to my parents and then I dropped it out of my uni also. Like, and then but and at the same time, I was like, at that time, I set it for myself when I get to my 30, because I feel like I need to be somewhere when I am at my 30s. Yeah. But so it 3 kind of years is like a really scary process. It's like you're really afraid of that you can't achieve like what you want to achieve. And then I think like it's really a torturing process, because you make my decision, but you have to prove to people that you made the right decision. Yeah, and then you have up all the concept am I good enough to be that position. So at the time that you you breaking in and out to be an analyst, how do you feel about that?
For me, it was an interesting journey. Especially with breaking the announced at the Olympics. It was announced going into the Olympics probably around like COVID time, 2020, 2021 was when it was announced that racing was a big deal. But at the time, it was like a cool thing that when it was announced, I was like, oh, that's awesome. But I wasn't competing as high as though. So it wasn't something that I thought I would be doing. It was just like, whoa, this is cool for breaking. This will open up a lot of opportunities and a lot of doors. But at the time, I wasn't competing at the highest level. So I didn't think I'd be good to the Olympics. But I was very lucky and fortunate with timing I just kept breaking. I kept breaking. I did what I loved. It was around COVID time when it was announced, and I just trained. Coming out of COVID 2021, 2022, I started competing a lot more. And again, during COVID, like, do you watch anime? You know, like Dragon Ball Z? It was like my iPad all the time kept going up. For 2 years, all I did was train. And then I came out of COVID, and I started winning a lot of the events. So I started traveling, winning some events. Pretty soon after, I got sponsored by Red Bull, and then the Olympics, the qualification started. And then it was just luck of timing for me. And when the qualification started, I was competing at the highest level. I was performing well. I was physically, mentally in very good shape. And during the whole qualification process, I won most of the events. And so for me, it was all just kind of time. Okay, when it was first announced, you would think that I would be there, or the cat.
So is there like always still fear inside you that you want to win the Olympics or want to?
No, or you just keep doing it. I just kept doing it. I didn't care about winning. Like, winning was never my goal in breaking. I wanted to, honestly, I just wanted to pay my rights and we got the dance. I didn't care about winning. Obviously, when I go to an event, I do my best to win, and I wanted to be the best I could be in the dance. But for me, I just love to dance, and I love to go to training. Even now, I still don't love competing. I love traveling. I love the life that I get to live, but I don't love necessarily competing. I've learned to love things about competition step, but for me, I love the training, right? I love to do great. I found that it learned a lot about myself. It taught me a lot of lessons. I would grow as an individual and as a person and as a dancer. It grew, or in the studio, it would be hard. It just taught me so much, and that's why I loved it. But again, I never really cared about video, but when I go to a competition, I do my best.
So, you mentioned like at during COVID, you train a lot. Are you proud of how much you train? Like, how long does it training?
It is. No, I don't think it's necessarily too strenuous, but like, there were certain days where it varied a lot, especially during COVID times. I would say I'm a lot more consistent now in general with my training. But during that time, it would range between like 3 to 6 hours a day. And I did that probably most days, like 5, 6, something like that days a week. And it was all. My parents let me live at home at that time because it was COVID and there was nothing going on. In 2019, I traveled all around the world. 2019 was the year that I started winning some events. And so I won some international events. But because of that, I traveled all around the world in 2019 and it was new for me. And it was hard. I didn't really know how to deal with it. I was traveling. I was starting to live like my dream while I was traveling around the world. People were paying for my flights, everything. But it was still stressful because I was trying to live as a dancer. And when you're traveling like that, you can't have a job. So before that, I was working like here and there, find odd jobs just to like pay rent and to save a little bit of money. And then in 2019, I started traveling a lot and I couldn't hold a job because I was traveling too much. But then I couldn't make any money because I was traveling for competitions. And the only time you would make money is if you won the competition. And at the time I was winning with a couple, but not a lot. So it was so stressful because you would go to an event and you're like, I need to win this event because I need to pay my rep or whatever. So that was new and very stressful for me. And then when COVID came, every day shut down, right? So I couldn't travel, of course, I could just focus on training. So I was like, well, I can't do anything anyways. We were very lucky in Canada because the government gave us money. And so I could just focus on training. So it was 3 to 6 hours a day. And when I wasn't training, I was thinking about breaking. And then a little bit of off time every day, I was simply UE.
Okay, so like, do you have like coach you train on or you playing on the
we don't have coaches in breaking. I think going to Olympics and like moving forward, it's a newer concept for sure. But we never really had coaches. I had mentors growing up, people that kind of helped me learn different things. And we train with friends. So it's like you have your crews and people that are around you, the community that you'll practice with, but there's no one like folks.
So I heard that like breaking, like people will create threats. So is there anything to inspire you to create a episode like?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. You could draw inspiration from everything. That's like the thing about breaking that during me and keeps me going a lot. Like I grew up playing a lot of video games, so for me, Bridge is at the ultimate video. Because every day I show up to the studio and I have the choice to do whatever I want. I can make whatever I like. And the only limitations is physically what I can do. You know, but you can come up with a lot of different ideas, a lot of cool things. So I inspired, of course, other dancers, but not just playing it. I'll watch K-pop dancers, and I'll watch on ballet, contemporary, you know, take inspiration from that. I'll watch other sports. I'll watch other sports and look at the way they move and try to draw inspiration with that. So I think it's cool because you can draw inspiration from anything.
So I have seen you competing, and then I got like you have your own style of like breaking. What makes your like own style? You think your creativity or like your physical ready for something, what is the most?
For me, typically what people say about me is not necessarily the physical aspect. It's more the creativity. I think like my approach to dance is a little bit different, and I have a very large vocabulary to roof, so I have a lot of moves because again, when I'm practicing training, I just like to make new stuff. So I don't like to drill, I don't like to try like practice the same moves. I always just try to come up with something new. And so that's like a strength of mine is that I guess I have a lot of movements that are really empty.
So, but like, it's kind of like that. Maybe you call it pretty is calling it sport now, but like, do you think like it crashes with like Green if he saw that? I think like critic is more like culture or something.
Yeah.
No, do you feel like that it's just like a crasher, like it goes up both each one?
There was a lot of debate in the community at first when the Olympics was announced for breaking because for us it was a new world. It's an arbiter culture first. And, like that's how we saw it. It's a part of hip hop culture. We see ourselves as artists, so we always saw ourselves as artists. But there's always a saying in break beat and Pirates of the Orpheus was train like an athlete, but think like an artist. Because you are an artist because it's inherently created a dance self-expression, but at the same time, you are limited by your physical capabilities. So if your body can't keep up with your ideas or your thoughts, you're not going to be able to follow. So from an early age, I had a personal trainer. I started training and going into the gym around 2016, 2017. So I was pretty early into the game of like knowing that I wanted to dance for as long as possible. I started going to the gym early. I just started focusing on training and conditioning physically. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think you could do both. Like, I think it's an art. I think it's a culture. And now we go into the sport world, and I think it's just like, at the end of the day, it's just a name. It's illegal. Like, you call it a sport, you call it an art, you call it culture. I think it is all of those things.
Yeah. So, to be like a break dancer, which part do you think like is the most important? Like, is it go further, or like more like bumpy inspiration side, or like what do you think?
I mean, it's all a burn, but for myself, I still think first and foremost it's an art, and so I think the creative aspect and the self-expression is more important.
Yeah. So because like each there I would be going the journey of like learning cricket because I kind of like I have been doing camera for like 15 years, but at time when I started camera, it wasn't like that developed because like there was not that much amount of tricks. And then after a few years and we create our own tricks, and there are more and more tricks, and the training become more systematic. And then that's why we could use our training system to maybe copy and paste to my students and that kind of thing. But I felt like during my kind of like competing, I felt like Jamload is a little bit different for breaking because like it's not like a self-expression. Because like it's not like a set of routine. Yeah, there we need all the music to do, but like it's different from breaking. Yeah, it's for breaking is more like a freestyle. So, how do you feel like you can express your own self on the stage for you during your battle?
Yeah, I mean, dance inherently is self-expression, and I think, like you're saying, good breaking, it is a freestyle dance, so you don't know what the music that we're gonna play. So you have to adapt no matter what the music is. Some people will go in with pre-choreographed stuff. Some people will add a choreographed key, but regardless, there's an element of freestyle because you don't know what the music is gonna be. Right? So you have to adapt to the music. The idea of expression, I think, comes from a variety of factors. First of all, when you're competing, you're showcasing what you're doing to the audience. It's live, you have to do it there and then, and it gets a freestyle and when you do it. But at the same time, I think the expression also comes from the hours I put in when I train. You know, that's to me where the expression truly lies, because the emotions that I feel, the love, hate, whatever, and everything that you feel in life, you put into your dance, and you create rules out of that, and you create feelings, and then you transition that into competition and make sure.
I think that is like a little bit hard for me to understand, because I felt like when I'm doing skip to training, most of the time I think about how should I perform it well, because like for example, if you can't keep up with the beat, or like you can't keep up with the rope, yeah, you trip the rope. Yeah. So and it's kind of like right or wrong, but it's like less type of like your own expression.
Yes.
So So it's kind of more hard for us to think about when I training, I need to be myself and I have to express myself. I think that is like something I really need to learn and like how. But I feel like what you mentioned is like more of the confidence that you build out when you're doing training. Yeah. So when there is a tough time during a training, how do you like overcome it, or like how do you what kind of like words will you cover yourself to like make yourself keep up training?
Yeah. The prerequisite for success is failure. So to succeed, you have to fail. You have to go through a lot of failure before you're able to succeed. And the quicker you learn that and accept that, the easier, I don't think the easier life becomes, but the quicker you accept that, the better. And so for a long time of growing up, I was a very shy kid. So me going to train was hard for me early on because I didn't like to dance in front of the people. I enjoyed dancing, but I didn't like to do it in front of the people because I was very shy. But that stunted my progress because I was too shy to practice, so I wasn't practicing as much when I went with other people. And I learned pretty quickly, okay, but I'm not training anymore because I'm too shy. So I slowly just tried to overcome that. And again, it was failing in front of other people. It was messing up and learning to be okay with that. And that there's no real secret for me. You just had to show up and do it. And I honestly, I truly believe that if I did what anyone could do is do it again. I was an uncompetitive kid. I wasn't very talented. And I believe if I could do it, and do it.
Yeah. So now you're the older Chinese, and like there are more people know about you. So do you think like this been worried for you if you fail, get lesser? Like, is that like a problem for you, or like?
Not necessarily. I think like the thing is, yes, I want, but there's now expectation. So if I go to an event or whatever, people expect me to be in a certain problem. And that can add a lot of pressure to me for sure. But at the same time, I try to just not think about it because it's not about anything else and stuff. I did my dancing about me and what I want to do and how I want to showcase that. So if it's not up to other people's standards, it doesn't matter because it's my expression. It's what I do. So I just try to focus on this.
So do you think like there is not much big difference between I think we and the both beginnings? Like
For me, my life's changed. The relationships.
oh, so like what is the changes like?
I think for me, it's just a lot of opportunities, a lot of exposure. I've always been used to people knowing me in breaking. But in Canada, especially after winning the Olympics, it's like people knew me when I was walking in the street. But I would walk in the street in Canada, oh, you're Phil Wizard, you're Phil Wizard. And that was pretty like surreal for me. So a lot of opportunities. I would say it's just everything, but tenfold. So I was busy before the Olympics because I was working and traveling, and now it's just that but a walk.
Yeah. So when I won the ocean, so my Instagram grew it more and more, and then I felt like when I went to some kids competition, and some kids told me that I want to be someday, and then at that time I felt like it's kind of like a little bit pressure on me because I felt like it's really hard for us to be manipulated because like when you're a professional activist in Hong Kong, and then you have to work with extra hard because like you have to balance your life, earn the money, and also we have to make a train. So when there is a kid, or you might be you must gather frivolity and people. So how do you feel like in this point?
Yes, and I answered this question many times. Honestly, I don't care. That's my honest answer but not in the sense like I'm happy to inspire people, and I think it's a responsibility that I take seriously because I grew up watching a lot of people that have inspired me. I think it's an important part of any athletic adventure or an artistic adventure is people have role models. So I'm happy to be that role model for people, and I hope I do a good job of that. But honestly, when people tell me that, it doesn't really mean anything to me in the sense that like I didn't do this for that. I didn't do this to inspire people. I did this because I want it. And at the end of the day, if that does inspire people, that's great. But I feel extra pressure because of that, because that's just them expecting something from me, but I just want to focus on myself.
So do you feel like you're like right now your performance might affect in your job, or like is some of your sponsorship, or but I'm not sure if that is case for you, but do you feel like no pressure when you're leaving is counting on like what you should do?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's hard to do something professionally, especially athletic, because especially as you get older and your body is your job. So if I ever get hurt, then it affects what I could do for work. If I'm performing badly, it affects sponsorships and stuff like that. So it's a pressure that is on from pressure, but it's also just a reality of you. So again, you just kind of have to accept it. Like every job, any endeavor that people have in life, there are pros and cons. And that is just the stress of what I have to do for a living. And that stress is equivalent to other people working at a regular job and having the stress from their boss telling them that they have to do this. If they didn't do a good job, you might lose your job or they'll be disappointed or whatever. It's the same thing, just on a different scale.
Do you think like this stress is motivating you work or it doesn't really affect you at all?
It definitely affects me. I don't think it motivates me. It probably stresses me out more than anything. But at the same time, again, it's just a reality that I've accepted, and you have to learn to adapt to it. So for myself, I learned just to ignore it. Because and to be honest, because again, you just have to go back to the root of why are you doing what you do? Why did I start dancing? I started dancing because I love dancing. I want to keep dancing because I enjoy it. And so I try to cut back to that. Even if none of these people were sponsoring me, even if I lost everything, I'd still be dancing because I love it. So let's follow that energy. Just do it for the...
So you were able to make the choice that when you go back to the kid, do you still make it say
should have 100%? Yeah, I had no regrets about it. I think everything that I've done in high, both good and bad, brought me to where I am today. And he learned, again, the prerequisite for success is failure. Every failure that I made, every mistake that I made, has made to the person I am, and I'm very proud of these.
So if you want someone really sparkle about decision that will affect their life or whether they should pursue their passion, what would you say? Is it
I would say my recommendation is always to go for it because, first of all, for myself personally, I never thought that I would make it here in this bar, and I'm very grateful for where I am in my estate. But I never want to live with regrets. And I think that's probably the hardest thing to do or be as a human being, is to regret something. You don't want to look back in 5 years, especially something at play, because let's say with something like school or getting a job, you can go back and do that after the future. It'll be a lot harder, but at play you could do it. But especially if you're using athletic or pursuing a passion, sometimes there's a timing. Yeah, especially with something athletic, because when we're younger, it's a lot easier. You have a circuit, and so just take the opportunity while it's there. Because again, going back to school, getting the job, you can always do that in the future. But there are certain things you might regret and not be able to go back and do for rest.
So, is there ever any legacy that you want to be for kid?
Not really. I don't care. I feel like I'm that terribly selfish, but I don't care about love. I don't care about legacy. Legacy, I don't care about leaving anything behind, because I just want to enjoy my life. And if, again, through all that process of enjoying my life, if I inspire people, fantastic. I'm happy to do that. But I do this for me. I do this because I love to dance, and I'm going to keep doing it for that. I don't really care about the behind the legacy. I just want to enjoy my time playing.
So what is the next step? So you mentioned that about you did some traveling with the world for workshops and stuff, and then you are doing your own trainings. Well, so what is the next step for you?
The next step is the same that I've always been doing. I am very grateful for where I am in life today, and I just want to keep enjoying my life. The goal has never changed. The goal is just to be the best version of myself that I could be, to be the best dancer I could be, to work on my craft and my arts, and to keep growing as a person and learning new things. And I, even going into the Olympics and prior to that, I knew going into the Olympics that win or lose, it won't change me as a person, and the goal matches. The goal was that I win this competition, and so I win this competition or I lose this competition, and I keep growing and I keep learning and I keep developing as a person, and that goal has changed. There are like little goals that you have along the way, or new ideas or new inspiration, new sparks of motivation, but the goal is always just to be the best version of myself that I could be, and I do that through the lens of being a b-boy and through breaking, and yeah, hockey.
Do you enjoy teaching, performing, or competing?
No, not that. Yeah, I enjoy the process of training. Yeah, I love training, I love dancing, I love breaking. I have found joy in all of those things because I've done them all. I performed, I've competed, I teach, and I continue to do all of those things. And I find joy in that. So my passion is music, in the studio, training, myself, with some friends, and just
So is there any person goal for your own training? is there any like skills that you want to do, or like you don't have like the goal, or just keep training and then you just
Birdie, yeah, keep training. Like you'll have meebles, like I'll go to practice a bit. I want to learn this skill or this skill. But the overarching goal is always just to make something new and to express myself and to keep learning. I feel like every training I go to, I learn something new, and that's what I love about. I either learn a lesson of life, I'm not working hard enough, or I could have focused better, or just had a really good practice and made a new move, and that's something new that I get to create up again. So I just want to be great.
Okay, so this year I'm going to learn breakdance. So if there is some advice that you can give me, so what do you think like good advice should give?
Okay, yes, it will. For breaker, are you breaker? First of all, it's gonna be hard in the beginning because even the easiest things, I think, as we learned today, can be very, very difficult. I think you had an advantage because you started with double dutch and sipping, and you have done a different physical endeavor that has like similar movement patterns. So I think you'll pick up breaking like a lot faster than someone else. I would say, I mean, just like anything, you probably do this, follow up the process. It's not about achieving a certain thing or be the best or whatever. More than anything, it's like, do I love doing this? Do I enjoy doing it every day? And it's something new and challenging, and just learn to enjoy the good and the bad. Like there are days that are going to stop because you're going to do it and be like, I can't get this, I can't get this. But that process, that's the beauty of it. Life is balanced. Life is easy. You can't have to good without the bad, so you have to get good.
Yeah. So I want to drill into some more practical questions. Like, how do we feel like what kind of training should I be allocate my time? Like on mobility or on strength, or like on the skills itself?
The skills itself first, because to be a good breaker is just a break. But then after that, for you, you just see you today probably a little bit mobility. Yeah, just to get like what we were talking, the hip mobility, the E flexibility. That's like new for a lot of people because it's movements that people haven't done before. So I would say first the actual skills themselves, and then more the mobility. The strength I'm not too worried about because you do double dutch and you have similar movement patterns in that, so you probably pick that up a little bit faster.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Do you have any question to me or like?
So I thank you so much and hope you enjoy.
Bye.